1. Many years ago, my very first job at age 16 was working as a cashier in a lawn and garden store. During the winter months, they switched over to Christmas trees, wreaths, lights, ornaments, etc. This story involves me, customer, stock boy, and the store manager. During the holiday season, the store was open until 10 p.m., rather than until 8 p.m. during the rest of the year. Customer comes in at 9:45, and every employee groans internally, because according to store policy, we are not allowed to complete store closing policies, sweeping, tidying up end caps, stocking, etc., if any customers were in the store. We make the usual 10 and 5-minute announcements that the store is closing. We also make the official "It's 10 p.m. and the store is now closed. Please proceed to the register" announcement. No sign of customer. I am the only cashier on duty at this time, and I'm not allowed to leave my register, so I ask one of the stock boys to go and see if they can find this lady. At 10:25, the store manager emerges from the office to come stand by my register, giving me the requisite what the fuck look. About 10 minutes later, customer finally comes to the register. She has a shopping cart overflowing with ornaments, and a huge synthetic pre-lit Christmas tree, a 14-feet tree if I'm not mistaken, on a flatbed pushed by stock boy. Stock boy is giving me the "beware a crazy old lady" look. The lady makes no move to put her items on the counter, so I reach into the cart and grab some items while my manager starts bagging items. We're all getting antsy and want to go home at this point. The lady waits until I've scanned about half the items in the cart before saying,
"Wait, I'm not sure I want those."
Me. What? Customer.
"I'm not sure I want those."
Me. Okay, which ones do you want? Customer.
"Well, I don't know."
Me. Okay, well, I can't ring you up until you let me know which items you want. Customer.
"I haven't decided yet."
I literally don't have the slightest idea what to say. Luckily, manager steps in. Manager.
"Ma'am, the store is now closed. OP can ring you out if you know what you want. But if you still need some time to think over things, we can hold the items behind the customer service desk if you want to come back at a later date once you've made up your mind."
Customer.
"Don't you rush me. I said I don't know what I want."
Manager, stifling rage.
Okay. We can't ring you out until you've made up your mind. We can void the transaction and start over. Tell us what you'd like to purchase, and OP will ring it up for you. Our return policy also states that if you have a receipt, you can return any items you decide you don't want within X number of days for a full refund. So if you wish to purchase everything today, you can return anything that is undamaged within X days.
Customer.
"I already drove all the way out here. I'm not driving out here again for a return just because you can't get your act together."
Manager.
I completely understand. In that case, please let me know which items you would like to purchase this evening, and OP will ring them up for you. Stockboy will even load them into your car for you if you'd like.
Customer harums for several minutes while she and manager have this dialogue. Finally, she tells me to just ring everything up, which I do at record speed, while manager bags things and stockboy loads bags into the cart. I ring up her tree and stockboy asks her to unlock her car so that he can load the bags and load her tree. She pays, manager tells me to go punch out and leave, and stockboy presumably goes outside to load things. I go to the back and punch out, and am walking back to the front of the store to leave, when the lady bursts back into the store, absolutely irate. I can hear her shouting as I approach from the back of the store. Customer.
"What do you mean you can't deliver it?"
Manager.
We don't provide delivery services, ma'am. We can hold the items until you return with an appropriate vehicle.
Customer.
"So you're going to pay for it, right?"
Manager.
Again, we don't provide delivery services.
Customer.
But it won't fit in my car.
Manager.
Then you will need to rent or borrow a large vehicle.
Customer.
Just put it in a smaller box.
Manager.
I assure you, ma'am, that these trees are packed in the smallest boxes possible. It is impossible to pack a tree of this size into a smaller box.
Customer.
Can you at least try?
At this point, manager sees me approaching and makes the get the fuck out motion. I get the fuck out. Stockboy catches up with me under guise of locking the door behind me. Stockboy. Customer had a Honda Fit. She's trying to get me to load her 14-feet tree into the truck of a Honda Fit. I wish him best of luck, get into my mom's waiting car in the parking lot, and get the fuck out of there. 2. Here are a few key pieces of information for this tale. I work in a roadside attraction, /museum, /gift shop, /tourist trap. Think quirky locals, foreigners, and lots of grumpy travelers. There are 2 different locations essentially, the main gift shop and the museum. They are separated by a big-ish parking lot that takes probably 5 minutes to walk across. Finally, we have a strict policy that we have to see ID with a credit card. I bet you all know where this is going. It's a nice, fairly slow day. A lady walks up to the window of the museum to purchase tickets from me. We exchange pleasantries. She seems nice enough. Lady, 1 adult, 2 kids. Hands credit card. Me, of course. I'll just need to see your ID for the card purchase. Lady hands me another credit card.
This one has my name on it too.
Me, oh boy, here we go. Sorry ma'am, unfortunately I need to see a photo ID. She seems slightly annoyed, but quickly leaves to go retrieve her ID from the car, with no apparent problem. She left her 2 kids with me at the window, so I awkwardly try to entertain them until her return. Upon her arrival, the mood has drastically changed. Lady slams down ID. Me, perfect, thank you. Sorry again, but it's just our policy. Lady now very irritated, and loud voice.
Unbelievable. This was absolutely ridiculous. I had to walk all the way back to my car across the parking lot just so you could see my ID.
Me, surprised. Kids, wide-eyed.
Lady, I can't believe this. I just had stomach surgery, and I had to walk all the way back for no reason. Now I am in pain.
No, we have a decent amount of autonomy in this job. The lack of ID situation happens frequently, and normally I will use a loophole, allow them to show me a social media account with their name and picture, stuff like that. The customer, however, immediately left to go grab her ID, so it didn't seem to be a big deal. There was certainly no talk of stomach surgery. Me, I'm sorry. Lady.
You know what? That's fine. Totally fine. That's what letters are for, right? I'm going to write a letter.
By this point, the transaction goes through and I return her card and ID. Of course, she immediately storms through the entrance gate. Me yelling after her.
Excuse me, ma'am. I need you to sign this for me.
She scribble signed so angrily she almost ripped the receipt in half, and then proceeded to throw the pen at my face. Joke's on her. We have our physical address listed, but can't receive mail there, so unfortunately we never got her letter. It's a shame, actually. I would have loved to read it. 3. This happened in the early 90s. I went to elementary school with a girl whose family owned a successful, small chain of Greek diners in town. We'll call her Tanya. When we started high school together, her family let her have a small lunch party at a location by our school. That was also in a very wealthy neighborhood. We were 14, all gangly elbows and giggles, while Tanya graciously ferried our orders of mostly French fries to and from the table to keep one of the waitresses from being bogged down with a non-tipping private party of sugared-up teenaged girls. In walks entitled woman, who marches straight to the hostess and announces she will need their biggest table for her family's lunch. The diner was hopping as it was prime lunchtime, so the hostess told entitled woman it would be at least 30 minutes wait for an 8 top. Entitled woman launches into a tirade about how her family is parking and the hostess has maximum 5 minutes to find her family a table, or she's calling her personal friend, the manager, to get her fired. The hostess is stunned and tries to stammer out something apologetic, but entitled woman just walks past her to survey the tables. She spots our little group in the back and immediately tells the hostess to clear out these stupid kids and reset the table for her family. The hostess refuses and tells entitled woman she will have to wait like everyone else. Entitled woman loses it, screaming at how she'll have everyone fired. It's gone dead silent, and everyone is staring at her. Entitled woman's family is starting to filter in behind her, and looks on confused. Probably feeling emboldened by having backup, entitled woman proceeds to march over to our table and snatch baskets of fries and drinks off the table, and throwing them in a nearby bus cart, yelling at us that we're done wasting the restaurant's money and that it's time to go. Most of us just cringed away from her, looking confused. But Tanya, still carrying a basket of fries, got right in her face telling her to go away and stop being rude. Entitled woman was waiting for this, apparently, and chose to double down. She pulls out her ace card. "Do you know who I am?" and claims to be the owner's mother, right to Tanya's face, and tells her she can kiss her little waitressing job goodbye. Tanya stares this feckless cow down, and without looking away yells, "Hey Dad, Yaya's here to see you." Her dad pops his head out of the kitchen looking alarmed. "I hope not. She's been dead for 6 years." Hilarity ensues. 4. Time for a tale, or rant, from the popular cheap clothing store I work at. So during my shift, which I just finished, I had a woman come up to me with a load of clothes including a white cardigan. After having put said cardigan through and ringing it up at £10, she told me it was actually reduced to 5. I told her I'd go look for her to see what the price was. It's probably worth noting here that the way our displays are organized, we often have reduced sections on the end of standard displays, which can confuse customers as they'll pick something up from the normal section thinking it's reduced. In this case, there was £10, now £5 reduced section next to a £10 section, so I can see where the confusion arose. I went back and told the woman that it was actually £10, as it was on a £10 display arm. She then told me that it wasn't, and that there were loads of them on the £5 arm. Again, I told her they were on the £10 arm. To which she told me someone must have put all of them on the wrong arm. Sure, lady. Someone put 15 cardigans without reduced labels that cost £10 on the £10 arm by mistake. She then had it removed from her order and decided to nitpick about how a lot of the clothes were often on the wrong hangers. We are a very big store and our changing rooms usually get swamped with clothes, so we don't have enough time to put absolutely everything on the right hanger, as if we tried, nothing would go back out on the floor in time. I informed her that we just don't have enough time to put that volume of clothes on the correct hangers. Her response was simply, "That's ridiculous," and then pulled the good old classic of, "I work in retail and I know what I'm talking about, and that is unacceptable." She then asked for my name and told me she'd be calling head office. My reaction was simply, "Okay then." Her friend then turned up, and she told her friend that the cardigan had been put on the wrong arm, which I told her friend was incorrect. She then asked for my manager's name,
We have a lot of managers, so I asked her which one she wanted. "The store manager," she retorted. I told her we were in the process of changing store managers, the truth. She then asked for any manager's name, so I gave her one of the nicer managers' names. Though all their managers are pretty nice. As she was walking off, she told me, "You need to go on a customer service course." To which my reaction was, "If you say so." As I was sick of her by this point. She was like, "I do say so." To which I was like, "If you say so. Bye now." She then went and complained to my supervisor, who pulled me to one side and just gave me a heads up that the customer was going to complain, apparently. Though the way she told me sounded like she was erring on my side, as when I was like, she told me she knows how things should be done, as she works in retail. My supervisor was like, "Yeah, I know, she told me that too. I hope that woman gets a dose of karma later on down the line." 5. Up until 2 months ago, I used to work part-time at a German chain supermarket. I would work on anything but Monday and Tuesday, because I have class until 6 p.m. there. Which roughly translates to every single gosh dang Saturday night. Oh, and the nights before holidays, especially the nights before holidays. It's the night before New Year's Eve, and the supermarket is bursting at the seams. German shop closing laws are pretty strict, so on New Year's Eve shops close at 1 p.m. or 2 p.m. and don't open at all on New Year. Of course, no one wants to get up early on a holiday, so the night before New Year's Eve gets pretty busy. Our shop usually closes at 10 p.m. It's still 9:50, and I'm already thanking the Lord that nothing inconveniencing had happened to me all day, other than the lines being a bit longer than usual. Enter our lovely couple, that shall from now on be referred to as Hades and Persephone. Hades and Persephone maneuver their shopping carts closer to the belt and start piling up their stuff. Alrighty, I think to myself, it's a bit more than you'd usually buy, but hey, there's holidays coming up, so it makes sense to stockpile food. There's only 5 people behind them, so if I'm fast, the co-workers and I can still get out of here at a reasonable time. Except they keep piling stuff onto the belt, and keep piling, and keep piling, and keep piling, and don't stop piling. At this point, there's so much stuff on the belt that it won't budge anymore. I have to lean over the belt and pull their stuff to the register. I am not tall, and Hades and Persephone only bother to help me once I physically can't reach any more goods. After a while, the belt moves again, and they continue loading their stuff. They have 2.5 shopping carts full of groceries left. I scan everything extra fast now, in order to avoid another standstill. I'm doing a pretty good job considering at this point it's all vegetables that I still have to weigh. And boy do our old scales take their sweet time weighing. By the time they're down to 1/4 on the first cart, an impressive heap of vegetables, fruit, mineral water and paper towels is towering over me to my right. In the high hopes that their cart is empty, so that they can put their already scanned items into the cart, so that I may continue doing my job, I glance to my left. Nope, still unloading their cart. I decide to use this small break bestowed upon me by the deities of the underworld to close my eyes and take a deep breath. It's 9:58, and the line is wrapping around at least one aisle. My co-worker, in her never-ending kindness, opens up her register again, even though she has already balanced the day's cash a bit earlier. Hades and Persephone have 1 cart left, and Persephone is quickly stowing away the already scanned items, while Hades is loading the rest of his stuff onto the belt in a moderate pace. There is an end in sight. There is hope. Said hope is soon to be shattered. Hades and Persephone's total comes out as roughly 430 euros. Persephone would like to pay with her debit card. I get the card reader ready for her. She shoves her card in and enters her PIN. No problem.
That's great. That's not necessarily a given. I appreciate people who know their way around a debit card. The card gets declined. Oh, that's a bummer, I say, trying to sound more compassionate than frustrated or dead. But don't worry about it, ma'am. Stuff like that happens. I've been there. Maybe we should just try again. Cards get funky if you use them a lot. Rinse and repeat. A screech from the reader informs us that the card has been declined again. Persephone decides it's time she came clean about something. I don't have 430 euros in my bank account, she says quietly. Can I pay part of it with my debit card? And Hades pays the rest with his debit card? No, ma'am, that's not possible. You can, of course, pay part of it in cash and pay for the rest with your debit card. But you can't use two cards here. But my husband would pay some of it. In cash? No, with his own debit card. I'm afraid, ma'am, we can't do that, I repeat. You can pay part of it in cash and part of it with your debit card, though. She looks at me, or rather, through me. Do you have cash, ma'am? She shakes her head. I don't have 430 euros in my bank account, she insists. I sigh. Language barrier, I figure. A lot of immigrants in this town. German is a tricky language, so you can't expect people who haven't grown up speaking it to be perfect at it right away. Just as I'm about to scream for help, the assistant manager appears behind me to check what's taking us so long. Persephone sees his name tag, figures his last name is of Turkish origin, and a fairly long conversation ensues. I don't speak a lick of Turkish, but when the assistant manager is done, Hades and Persephone rummage through their wallets and pull out bill after bill after bill, so I'm guessing whatever the assistant manager told them worked. I ring up their cash and try the card again. The card gets declined. Suddenly, my wish to cease existing increases dramatically. How much do we still need? Persephone asks. 50 euros, ma'am, I say mechanically. She whispers agitatedly to Hades, and Hades returns her whispering just as agitatedly. The card is still in the reader, whose beeping is getting increasingly hectic. At last they turn around to the poor guy behind them. I assume he's a friend of theirs because, after another round of agitated whispering, he whips out a 50 euro bill and hands it to them. I rip the 50 out of Hades' hand, ring them up, and ask Persephone to withdraw her card. Let me get the reader ready. She does not wait for me to get the reader ready. She shoves her card inside before I can click any button on the register, and then stares into my soul. Ma'am, you have to take the card out again. I need to get the reader ready, I beg. She, in her magnanimity, withdraws the card, waits for a second, and only then puts her card back in. The cash box pops open, the printer spits out at least 2 meters of receipt. We are free. Hades and Persephone disappear into the night, never to be seen again. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Adventures in Fast Food and Retail number 8. I'm certainly making a lot of headway with these videos. I often get flashbacks while doing them, though, to dark, malicious times in my own years in retail. Thinking back to that story with the tree there, I remember how often it would happen. You know, you get somebody who'd run in either a couple of minutes before closing, and more often than not, because the place I worked in sold alcohol, and we'd close at 10 o'clock. Those are the licensing hours. You cannot sell alcohol after 10. And you literally can't sell it. Not only is it illegal, but the tills have been designed in such a way that, you know, if you were feeling generous, you couldn't do anybody any favors and sell it after, because it will not accept it. Try to scan it, tell you to bugger off if you try to scan it. And people just couldn't understand that. So what would happen is people would come out of the shop at 10 o'clock, and you shout down at them, right, you got 3 minutes left, 2 minutes left, right, 1 minute, you'll need to come up to the till right now if you wanted to go through. That was only if I liked him. If it was somebody that had pissed me off previously, I'd just kind of wait, you know, 10 seconds left. Well, that's 10 o'clock, mate. You'll need to go. Oh, but I just want a can. I just want a bottle. Well, I'll not go through the tills. You should have come in earlier. Then every now and again, you'd get the customers you liked coming in, and you could still, I think for the most part, you could put things through the tills after 10, as long as it wasn't alcohol. You could sell cigarettes, groceries, that sort of thing. So if it was a nice customer, then you might serve them just to be nice, because, if they treat you well, you like to treat them well. But do remember, there was one guy who had a habit. If he came in on occasion, came in late, he liked to stand and have a chat with you. So it's 10 o'clock. You've just served him out of courtesy. You've got to very politely end the conversation. So you say, yeah, well, I'll see you the next time then. Take the hint. Oh, and if I can just give advice to people who think writing letters is a good idea, unless you have a legitimate grievance, like I did have a legit grievance with a store once. I was actually falsely accused of shoplifting. I wonder if they ever actually checked their cameras. And I wrote a letter off to them, and I got an apology. I didn't quite get the response I'd hoped for, but I at least got an apology. And I didn't shop there for 7 years because I was so pissed off. But I went back in there recently again, and this place was selling. I discovered they were selling Arizona iced tea, so I've started shopping in there semi-regularly. But anyway, getting sidetracked with my sidetrack. But as I was saying, don't write these letters unless you have an absolutely legit grievance, because the store will find out about it, and you will be mocked. More often than not, unless someone has actually violated store policies in some way, if they've gone against the rules, the employers will back up their staff in most situations, as long as the rules have been followed. At least that's my experience of it in the UK. You can, of course, get shitty people working for shops, like my last manager didn't really do much to support his staff, but that's a whole other lengthy tirade I could go on, and I think we'll wrap it up there. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.